right. We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for Mark Boersma for Dummies. And um, have you all recovered from yesterday's podcast?
Maybe.
Think so.
Yep.
Anita,
Yep.
how'd you recover from it so quick?
I don't know, just did.
Well, that doesn't help anybody, Elaine.
Sorry.
Well, you don't care, right?
Okay, well, let's go there. Yeah, let's go there. What does
So-
that mean? That's how you recovered from yesterday? I would think yesterday would create a lot of trauma. Like, so me not caring helps you heal? Is that what you're saying? Quickly?
No, I probably.
Wasn't it pretty significant to all of you to see the Mark bomb go off?
What triggered it? Yeah.
What triggered it?
Well, going through life and explaining what has happened and how people have treated you and things that have occurred and all that.
Mostly church triggered it.
Church Christians, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew that as a boy growing up, that I don't know how I knew. I just knew. Like Mary in the Bible, she said I think it's two or three places where she said she hid things in her heart. So she had a sense that her perfect son, Mary, Jesus' mother, her perfect son, she had a feeling that because mothers have the feeling, they have a feeling. Like my mom, she knew I was special, which really ticked off my other siblings. like, like, like they were jealous because she told me things she never told them. They're like really? Some fascinating things. like, like now that my mom and dad are both dead and my grandmother's dead, like when my grandmother died, then a year later she was 99, and then my dad died I think a year later, and then my mom died like a year later after that. So three very significant people died in a very short period of time. Oh. So after my dad died, so my grandmother died, she was 99 years old, and I went to the funeral, and her husband died, my grandfather, Grandpa Boersma, he died when he was maybe in his mid 50s or probably mid late 50s, and she never remarried. And I was thinking about her the other day a lot. She's a special lady. I miss her a lot. She'd roll her eyes and say, Mark, shake her head, Mark, you're something. And she'd giggle, and she's so cool. So it's weird on how my mind gets overwhelmed. Like it's just overwhelmed with thoughts. I could go down this path or this path or this path or this path, and I don't know which path, and then I lose track of the paths, and it's like, do all of you get attacked and people say, what do you think you are, God?
Not through voice, but sometimes the looks bring
The
that.
looks do it. Anybody get it through voice? What do you think you are, God? Just like that.
I have by one person.
Okay, good for you. You're advancing spiritually. I get that a lot. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, the first, I don't know, 10, 15 times, I'm like, that's just weird. That's just weird. But now I realize it. When somebody says, "What? It ain't your God?" what are they really saying?
That you think you're right and that you're better than them.
No, that's not what they're saying, actually. They're thinking they're God.
That they're
Well,
God.
they wouldn't say they think they're God, but they really do think they're God. They think they're, and so what you've done is you've gone above them, and they're ticked because they think you're closer to God than they are. And so subconsciously, they're going to attack you and try to bring you down, like the Lakota Indian chief in South Dakota. He said, the Lakota Indians are like crabs in a bucket. When one tries to crawl out, all the other crabs pull them back in. This is what happens in Baptist churches. It's what happens probably in any group of people. Any group of people, the science of this is and I have a model for this, but I can't find it quickly. So, so it's like vision crabs in a bucket, and one's crawling out, and all the other crabs are pulling them in. And so groups, what they want to do is they want you to conform to the group. So what they do is the group gives you power, like a gang, like being a member of a gang. And so you won't get churches saying they're like a gang, but they really are. You won't get churches going and saying, you won't get any group of people saying that, like, I'm a gang. I'm part of a gang. You just won't. You won't get them saying we're holding people back. But the truth is, if you're a disruptor, they're going to put you out of that group. What they're looking for is they want high enough producing people in the group so they can be controlled, like the law of stupid by Bonhoeffer, the theory of stupidity. That should be in here somewhere for sure. Like there's all of these that, and so I think today we're on 7. And so what people don't understand is it doesn't matter, how that looks like. So I think I messed up the numbering system in here, because I don't know if the 7 represents what's before or after it. So let's say it's all blended together. See, so Jim is saying here, the first thing you've got to understand about Mark is that he believes you were given a gift called life. Okay, so that's the first piece. We covered that you have tremendous potential to make the world a better place. So I try not to share. So my oldest brother, Vern, he's a CPA, interesting guy. So he did really well in school, me not so much. He told me as an adult that he went ahead and got lower grades so he would fit in. Is this a reflection of the rest of his life? Probably. Probably. And so he wants to fit in. And so he would get lower grades. I never had a problem with that. Ever. I never, ever once got a lower grade to fit in. I just didn't. As a matter of fact, my mom went ahead and told me once, she said, Mark, I don't remember what surrounded it, but I could imagine. She said, Mark, if you go ahead and get a C in a class and you did your very best, and your brother, Vern, he gets an A in the class and he didn't do his best, you did better than he did. See, this is when you realize you're not so smart. It's a wonderful gift. One of the greatest gifts you can ever have is when you realize you're not that smart. There's a system. And so, should we write this down? So law of stupid, you guys are in trance, so mesmerized. So law of stupid. Okay. And then, system for humility. So I have a system for humility, and we'll try to put that beside this podcast. For you who think you're humble, you might not be nearly as humble as you think you are. If you ever, ever go ahead and say, what, you think you're God? What that does is reveals your own heart. You think you're super righteous, and it clearly communicates your relationship with God. How so, Mark? Because you don't understand God. You think he's kind of close to where you're at. Like, God, he likes me. He thinks I'm a pretty good guy. You think you're close to God. How can you say that, Mark? Because I would never go ahead and say that to an individual, ever. That just is stupid. It's a stupid thing to say. What, you think you're God? That doesn't reveal their thoughts, their heart. It reveals my heart saying that. It took me a while to think about it. Now, try not to go ahead and share. I often am careful about sharing my life vision. Touch every single person in the world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. And yes, it's 8+ billion people. Why is it that I'm reluctant to say that?
Because it makes you look better than them.
To
Because
who?
you've got something going for yourself.
Who does it make?
The person you're talking to,
Yeah,
people
the
you're
person I'm
listening
talking to might think that I think I'm better than they are, and that's not the case. One of my children once, as an adult out of the home, was making choices that if you take ownership as a dad, I mean, they're an adult, right? It's not my fault. Like, they're an adult. They're an adult. Who cares about them? I mean, this child was an adult and making choices. They were outside the home. They weren't in the home. It's heartbreaking for a father. How can it be heartbreaking? I don't know, because you take some ownership, which it seems like people can't do. Like, you can't actually care about somebody. Don't get the wrong impression. I'm not caring. I don't care. Like, but I remember my heart being absolutely broken. I mean, just the hurt, the pain that I went through seeing this child make the choices that they make. Just heartbroken. And, God somehow spoke to me. He doesn't do a lot of this but he did then. And I'm heartbroken. And God's like, Mark, you don't understand. And I think I do. Like, this child is sinning. This child is destroying their life and other people's lives. They're an adult. So they're not a child. They're an adult. I mean, one of my not caring coaches said, well, you don't have to care if they're adults. It's like, holy cow. That changed my life forever. I'm like, wow, I wish I'd have known that way back then. And God is like, Mark, do you understand me? And I said, I think so. And he's like, you don't. You don't know that child. I'm like, well, I pretty do. And I understand personality, understand, from a baby. I was there when they were born. I think I do. No, you don't. You're clueless. You're so stupid, Mark. Like, I am? Yeah. And then God said to me, Mark, I could be looking. He didn't say he was. He said, I could be looking. If you can't listen to your mom, you're not going to be able to listen to God. You just can't. If you can't listen to your dad, if you can't listen to other people, you're not going to hear God. You just won't. When they say something you don't want to hear. So I'm struggling. I am ripped apart. My whole being. Like, if I go back there, it's not that I care. No, I don't care. This child's an adult. What do I care? I don't care. If I get all teary-eyed, it's because I go back to when I did care. And it's heartbreaking. But I don't get the wrong impression. Like, and God said, Mark, I could look at you in being a worse situation than this child is. And I'm like, God, I don't understand you. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, this child is in clear sin. This child is making choices that are that a father will never, ever forget. And he's responsible, but they're an adult. Doesn't matter. Like, what people do as adults is because the kids, like. So again, don't get the wrong impression. I don't want the tears to give you wrong impression. You know, I'm a pastor's son. I've been around pastors. I can turn the tears on in a moment. And I said, I don't understand, God. And he's like, you don't understand the child. You don't understand. I created that one. You don't know what they've been through. You know what? You don't understand me. It's like God was disgusted with me. Like, you're an idiot, Mark. You're just so stupid. And I'm like, I am, God. I don't understand. Help me to understand. And then he did. Like, it's like it opened up a world to me. And I'm like, holy cow, you're kidding. That makes all the sense in the world. You're not an ounce better. Matter of fact, if God wanted to, he could look at me as being worse, far worse situation. Transform my whole life forever. When people go ahead and say, you're arrogant, I just laugh. I'm just like, that's kind of funny. It's interesting. Glad you didn't know me 20 years ago. But yeah, actually, do you know what the most arrogant thing you can say to somebody is? And they're like, no. I'm like, you're arrogant. Then I smile and walk away. They're just goofballs. So this isn't my life calling, my life vision. If like Helen Keller's, you know, she changed the whole world. But who was it? It was some nurse that came along, and the nurse, life vision of the nurse was to change Helen Keller. She couldn't hear, she couldn't see. Like, how do you teach somebody that? And all of a sudden, Helen Keller just changed the world because that one person. Oh, Nora, you have a TikTok story that's really cool. Do you want to share that about how you really don't have to do anything? Just go to a tent meeting, help two people out, and then you get all the credit for them. Man, I'm a big promoter of TikTok. Nothing, Nora? Nope. She's probably multitasking. It's okay.
I am, but
Of course. So Jim goes on to say, like, he's not saying his life vision. Shoot, he hates his stupid vision. This is where Jim and I connected. It's like, really, God, this is why people don't like you. But Christians that, you know, they're not in the trenches, you know, they're not real. They're not fighting the enemy. So it could be in business. See, my dad was a pastor, but he said he never felt called to be a pastor. That's just weird. Like, you're a pastor, never called to be a pastor? I have some theories on that. Me, I was called to be a businessman without question. My youngest brother, he went to seminary, got his master's degree, and he went in to become a pastor and came back to the church that my dad started. And I don't know, after a couple of years there, he said, Mark, he says, you're messing with my paradigm. I do that a lot with people. Like, what they thought, yeah, there's different ways to think about it. Do you know the right way, Mark? I love when people do that. That's that. Do you know the right way? Are you always right? It's just hilarious when people do that. It's like, really, it's boring. Next. He's like, I said, what do you mean? He's like, I went to Bible college to go ahead and learn how to share Christ and disciple people. I'm like, okay. That's why I became a pastor. And then he went ahead and he says, you get a chance as a businessman to go ahead and share Christ. You have a chance to share Christ with more people, share Christ, win people Christ, and disciple more people than in a week than I do in years as a pastor. I'm like, uh-huh. See, I don't think he spent 10 years as a pastor. Then his wife told him he shouldn't be a pastor. Like, And that devastated him. Like, okay, well,
Couldn't he change that? I
he
mean,
did.
couldn't he like go places where he could be more of a disciple and share Christ more?
Well, I think the reason is he's an expressive analytic. And so, I'm not saying expressive analytics aren't godly. It's just, I think he was chasing something like in the song. Like that song, oh, the song, we could put the song in there too. So the song that Nora and Ginger Ann, my oldest daughter, and I came up with, like it's about a husband, about a man that wants to be a husband but not do what husbands do. A man who wants to be a father but doesn't want to do what fathers do. It could be a pastor that wants to be a pastor but not do what pastors do. It's the heart. So I think he was chasing. He didn't really want to be. I think this is why pastors go ahead and get burned out as much or more than the general population, because they think it's God calling. No, they want praise from people, and they want drama, and they want to feel good about themselves, and they want to feel like victims. They want feelings, and that's how they get feelings. Same thing with police officers. They want a feeling of belonging, a feeling of purpose, a feeling of something. They're chasing a feeling. It could be business. It could be an individual running a nonprofit. Maybe it's a pastor or dad or mom, a husband or wife. What Jim understood about me is, I have this crazy vision. Hate the stupid thing. But I don't think I'm better than anybody. Matter of fact, worse. Maybe. I mean, God could look at me far worse. I don't think very many people understand that. So I tend to be an accelerator of people, and so people, either love or hate me. I mean, really love or really hate me. There's not a lot of in between with Mark Boersma. There's just not. And why is that? Because I magnify, and there's some that both love and hate me. So there's not, and so I magnify people. So people say, Mark, you are so smart. Not until I turn 40. Then, man, I get it all the time now. It's weird. Don't laugh when somebody says you're smart. Don't laugh. Yeah, no, not really, because they want to believe you're smart. I'm not really that smart. I just magnify it. They're probably smart, and I magnify that. Mark, you're really giving. I'm probably not as giving as they think. They're probably giving. So whatever gift that they have, I can magnify. I can make it more. So I think Nora has a gift of healing. I can make it more. I think Elaine has a gift of discernment. I can make it more. So obviously I like that when people go ahead and, say, oh, you're so nice, or you're so kind, or you're so smart, or you're so giving, or you're so this and this, that's okay. But I also magnify the bad or the evil in people. You're so arrogant, Mark. Okay, copy that. You're so ruthless. Okay, gotcha. Copy that. You're so self-righteous. Copy that. So I also magnify that. And Jim talks about this later, in the 2.5 minute video. He talks about this later. So he talks about, need to be warned. And it's only getting stronger as I get older. Like Tom, when he was in his 60s and I was in my 40s, he said, Mark, now that I'm in my 60s, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I don't care. You know what? I'm done. He says, I'm done with stupid. I'm just done with it. I'm just done with stupid. Like, I'm so crazy sensitive. I hit a squirrel and it's traumatic for me. I mean, it's like a boom. and I had two coaches that helped me get through that trauma. They helped me realize they went to my intellect, my analytic. It's like, Mark, it's okay that you hit a squirrel. I mean, I'm almost tearing up. It's like that squirrel probably had a family and everything else. And it's like, I'm super sensitive guy, like crazy sensitive, but they helped me understand, Mark, it's a stupid squirrel. I mean, a squirrel should know better than running out in the middle of the road with a, 6 ton, you shouldn't. So I don't know. They deserve to die. And as soon as well, okay, stupid deserves to die. Now, naturally, you know, what might I do then? I might go ahead and say, huh. Go ahead, Nora.
Apply it to other areas of life.
Right. I might say, does this natural law apply to other areas of life? All right. Rosanna, what you thinking? Questions, thoughts?
Well, I think you had something about Sunday school and time that you were going to share. I think
Ooh,
that's what you said on.
ooh. So, see, I'm always paying attention. Like I'm watching, like you can't believe. My brother Ken's wife, she and I had a fascinating conversation at a family reunion. It was held at a church, and a lot of kids all over, little grandkids all over the place. And she's there, and I'm there, and she's like, "You're like an eagle," and the kids are like, "You're the ones you care for." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what that means." She says, "You're watching all of them to make sure they don't get harmed." Well, yeah, there's a horseshoe pit that's not covered up, and one of the kids could be running and not paying attention and impale themselves. And that would be my responsibility. But they're not your children, doesn't matter. Because their parents aren't paying attention. And I can. So I used to be all care for adults. Now I don't care. Doesn't matter. Let them destroy their life. Let them destroy the lives of others. It doesn't matter. I don't care. So, anyways, so she made that observation. In a Sunday school class, there was this really boring teacher. I taught adult Sunday school class for 10 years, tried to make it exciting, but couldn't get anybody to go ahead. Like none of the adults couldn't get them to do anything. I mean, I tried everything, little stickers, and like, here's the lesson. Like, I have this weird impression. You go to church to actually do something, learn something so you can do it. Like Ron Zappi, he's funny. He's like, Mark, he and I played basketball together. He's like, you're an interesting guy. He says, I just know you. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What do you know about me? He says, like after church on Sunday, it's a new church we went to. After church on Sunday, like you always sit in the third row with all 7 of your kids, your wife and your 7 kids, and they're all sitting there. I'm like, yep, that's what we do. And then he's like, and then afterwards at church, you go home on Sunday and have Sunday, dinner, lunch. And I'm like, yep. And he says, then you go around the table and you go ahead and ask them what they learned, in church and Sunday school and what they're going to do with it. I'm like, wow, he does know me. Somebody, we do that in one of those situations. My 3, I think it was 5-year-old, probably 5 and 7-year-old, like they'd go ahead and go to Sunday school and then they would learn something like a story in the Bible. And I'd say, okay, that's great that you know about Jonah or Moses or David. There's all kinds of stories, right? So they'd tell me, yeah, Dad, we learned this in Sunday. What'd you learn in Sunday school? And I'd be like, so what are you going to do with it? And they'd look at me and, a little 5-year-old, and they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, that's a good thing to do, right? So next week for Sunday school, when your teacher teaches you the lesson, what you do is praise the teacher. I didn't tell them this, but teachers are really fragile, so you got to tell them they're good because they're really fragile. So you go ahead and say to a teacher, you say to teacher, teacher, that was a great story. You did a great job. I really appreciate it. But I'm having a hard time understanding how to apply it to my life. Can you help me with that? 5-year-old. Anybody have any ideas? What the response of the teacher was?
Did you
Oh,
get
and some
ticked?
tears.
Sorry, go ahead, Elaine.
Oh, and some tears.
Okay, right? That reveals the heart, of Elaine. Yep. Nice. And Nora?
I asked if she got ticked.
Right, right. That reveals um, Nora's understanding of people, I think. They didn't get ticked, but they did go ahead and say, "Who told you to say that?" like, like I would think tears, like Elaine, like, "Oh my goodness," like somebody had actually got through. Like, wow. Or I could think, "Wow, that's a that's pretty cool that a 5-year old wants to apply it to their life." But no, noper. So going back, so there's this really a boring guy, and he Baptist, worked at the RBC, the regular Baptist press, but he's really smart, like very analytic, very self-righteous guy, very smart spiritually and everything. And I was just bored. Like I'm just like, this is same old, same old. There's nothing here. And so, but one Sunday, so what I do is I'd bring the concordance, the Strong Concordance. Didn't have computers back then. Well, there were, but we couldn't bring them. They weren't portable. So I had this, and I'm working on my note, like I'm working on a project, like I'm doing Bible study in Sunday school, trying to find something significant, because this all seemed temporal, superficial, surface types of things. Like it's just weird. Like it's like, okay. And I'm working on it, and then all of a sudden he said something. He said, "There's this passage," and I've got it in my journal. I don't have it right here, but there's this passage, and he says, I don't understand what this passage means. Now, because he knew everything, and I'm not criticizing, he's nice of a guy, but like he was humble. And so all of a sudden I stopped what I was working. And then he said, it's almost like this passage in the Bible seems to indicate that we could go ahead and trigger the rapture. All the Christians going to heaven. I'm like, really? So you can be working on something else really intently, but still listening for something significant. See, significant has a footprint, it has a DNA, it has a sense, it has a feeling. If you're looking for significance, so I'm looking for answers all the time. There's hundreds of answers I'm seeking. And the older I get, I'm 62. The more I know, the more I know I don't know. There's more questions that I have. That's why I'm like a 3-year-old. So if you don't have questions about life, if you're not frustrated, you're probably not growing. I mean, I'm guessing you're not growing. So you want people not like me in your life. You want people that are going to challenge you, though, that are not going to go ahead. Like I've got a lot of women around me, a lot. There's a lot of women. Never can have too many women, right? A wife, 41 years, and 4 daughters, and 6 granddaughters, lots of women. Men are like they get kind of ticked about that. They're like, how come he's got so many women around him? Like, and so remind me, I don't think I've shared the secret about my mom giving the secret about women in my life when I was 9 years old. But women are not being told the truth. They're not being told the truth by their dad. They're not being told the truth by their mom, because their mom doesn't know the truth either. Just sad, but doesn't. Bible says, older women teach younger. The older women don't know either. It's sad. You're not supposed to say that. A pastor would never say that. Just would never say it. Why? Because he seduces the women, tells them what they want to hear. I mean, he says right from the pulpit, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. That's true, and that's sad. That just shows how self-centered, self-absorbed women and moms are. They just are. He doesn't know what he's saying. Just goofy. And so the press isn't telling women the truth. The churches aren't nobody's telling women the truth. A husband won't tell the truth. Sons won't tell the truth. Nobody tells women the truth. They aren't. Then they know it. And a lot of women, maybe most women, don't want to know the truth, and they're enslaved. But there are women, and I think at the core of every woman, she wants is a heart to be told the truth, even if it hurts. And when men learn to do that, and it's like it's courageous. It takes courage. It takes a lot of courage as a man to tell women the truth. But it's not about preaching at women. It's not about talking down to women. It's not about it's not about you're better than women for sure. It's not that. Like you better get the plank out of your own eye before you go after women's planks or splinters. You better get it out of your own eye. You better go ahead because if you don't, a woman can identify a fraud. And she can fix that. Another topic for another time. Nora, anything you got?
No, I don't think so.
Anita, anything you got?
No, I don't think so.
Elaine, anything you got?
Just wanted to say thank you. Gave me an insight, trying to navigate life and different things. So
You're most welcome. Um, your husband is a very, 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 very blessed man. And you're a blessed woman to have him. You guys are a blessed couple, and your children are blessed to have both of you as parents. And, if people would just, it's almost like I don't do it as good as Jim does. I don't do it as good as Tom Coons does. I don't do it as good as anybody. I just don't do drama well. I just don't. I mean, my girls say that I'm more dramatic than they are. But it's almost like to get people's attention, you got to have drama. You just have to. And if people can get through the drama and say, huh, like, what does Mark mean? When he says, hey, Baptist pastors raised 62 years going to church every single day, up to 40, 3 times a week, like every single week going to church 3 times a week, up to 40. Like there's a lot of church. And so for a Baptist to go ahead and say, yeah, if you're going to hell, I don't care. I mean, it's offensive. It offends the mind. But if you say, what do you mean by that, Mark? But people don't. They're just full of drama. They just want drama. They want to demonize everybody else and think they're so spiritual. And it's like, what do you mean by that, Mark? But people don't ask that. If they would just go ahead, I mean, if Mark Boersma for Dummies, it's just ask Mark, what does he mean? When you say things that inflame people, like, what do you mean, Mark? It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. Like, what do you mean? Hopefully this series, like I keep getting on and want to get on in 5 minutes and get off 5, 10 minutes, just be it short and everything, but it goes on. And there's just, again, you think it's a long time, but it's 62 years all condensed down in hundreds and thousands of stories that are condensed down in. And so hopefully this is valuable and hopefully you share it with other people. And it's, it's intentional. It really is. It's intentional. Like there wasn't a Mark bomb until number 6, I think. And then you come back and you just say, well, what does Mark mean by that? Fascinating. Hopefully this is helpful. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you all.